Guys, like, oh my god. What's up, Thotty Pants? DenDenBMX here, and today we are going to be starting a new little guitar series where we're going to be focusing on my Gibson Les Pauls for a couple videos, because thanks to that good old Play Authentic QC, I got to do a few things to both of them in order to get them back in tip-top shape. In today's video, we're going to be working on Blair, my 2014 Les Paul Studio, but like the professional adult that realizes what priorities are, I'm not going to be working on any of the modifications that this guitar kind of needs right now. I'm going to be working on a visual modification instead. And real quick, for those of you who don't know the story of this guitar, basically within like my first 3 or 4 years of playing guitar, I acquired a little bit of a collection, but that collection was entirely made up of almost exclusively $200 to $300 cheaper guitars that I had always turned into like someone else's signature guitar. And one day I came to the realization that I kind of didn't really like any of the guitars that I had anymore because they weren't that great quality and because they were all kind of someone else's signature guitar. So what I decided to do was I sold all of them. And I used that money to get this, my first ever Gibson Les Paul. And I liked it so much because while it technically is Les Paul's signature guitar, it's still a guitar that you can like kind of just make your own. And in 2014, they were offering up the Les Paul Studio in this beautiful Manhattan midnight. It was like the stars aligned. It was perfect for me. For those of you that don't know, I'm a giant dirty little slut for the color blue. I know the Jeskowitz era is pretty infamous for having some rather goofy QC, but this guitar came set up perfectly. It was a great player for a real long time. It's got those cryogenically treated frets on there, so that's a real cool, like, quirky feature. 2014 was also the 120th anniversary of Gibson, I believe. So it's got the cool little 120th anniversary inlay in there. And since these Les Paul Studios are just a thin little layer of paint and then another thin little layer of nitro, over these last 9 years, it's worn quite significantly, which I actually really love. I love relic guitars, but when you've done the relicking yourself over a period of years from just playing the dang thing, it feels pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. But unfortunately, over these last couple of years where I've just been spending quite a bit of time just getting new guitars that I've wanted, I've kind of just been leaving this guitar alone, and it's gotten to the point where it's almost in a state of disrepair. It's still playable, but it needs a couple things done to where it can really be back to like its tip-top shape. The biggest issue right now is that it really needs a new nut, because the high E string is now just rubbing on that first fret, so it buzzes when I hit it open. It doesn't buzz on any fretted notes, but it does buzz on the high E open, which is a bit unfortunate. Now, this was an issue that I've tried to remedy a few times over the years by messing with the truss rod. I took it to someone who actually knows what they were doing when it comes to setting up a guitar once, and it did relieve the issue for a little bit, but I knew it was probably going to come back because I think this nut was just cut a little too low. And then also I want to get this thing new tuners. I think it deserves it. These tuners were never really that great in the first place. And then other little things, like it does have a little tiny bit of fret sprout that I think we could knock off. But like I said, we're not going to be doing any of that in today's video. You see, there is a very popular mod for the lower end Gibson Les Pauls, like the Studios, and I think they're called the Tributes, like the ones that don't have any binding, that are just like bare bones, no frills added Les Pauls. But there's a very popular mod to where people will just kind of scrape off the paint on the side of the maple cap. And what that does is it ends up simulating binding. It's basically how PRS and a lot of other brands do their binding, to where instead of installing actual binding, they just don't paint the edge of the maple cap or whatever cap they are using on that guitar. And over the 9 years, I've kind of already started giving this thing a little bit of natural binding just from this guitar wearing over time. So I think we're going to expedite that process a little bit and just scrape off the rest of this paint. That way this guitar has a nice little faux binding on it, because I was looking at some people doing it to their Studios and it completely changes the look of the guitar. It basically makes it look like a Les Paul standard. The only thing that's missing is just the fretboard's still not bound, and there's really no way to replicate that. But the faux binding around the edge of a Les Paul Studio or a Les Paul Tribute looks pretty nice, if I do say so myself. But for now, I think we're just going to start a little time lapse and see where this ends up. But before we get into all that, real quick, I just want to thank you guys for all the recent love and support you've shown me on all my videos. It truly does mean a lot. As always, if you guys go on to enjoy this video, I would really appreciate it if you let me know and help the engagement on this video by leaving a like, leave a comment, give me your thoughts and opinions, maybe share the video around. And if you regularly watch my channel and you haven't already subscribed, well, I think that would explain why that girl's been leaving you on red so much, bud. And I tell ya, it's sad to watch. We are on the road to 17,000 subscribers, and we are not very far away. So if you do enjoy the content, definitely hit the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. But enough yapping. Let's grab our foreskins and put them in time-lapse mode, and let's just get into it and see what happens. can't believe this song just came on this playlist. You would not believe your eyes. You would not believe your eyes. So there are some areas where it's a little rougher than others, but for the most part, I'm pretty happy with it. From a distance, it looks pretty good. This is by no means the flamiest top on planet Earth, but it does have some flame hidden in there. So I do think it's pretty cool that you can see some of the figuring on the side where I scraped off. And then as you saw in the footage, I did a little bit of sanding on the top. I definitely wanted it to be where you could see the binding if you were looking at the guitar from like straight on. And then right here, you can see when I was scraping this part of the binding, I kept like slipping off and scratching into the surface of the top, which is pretty unfortunate. That's a pretty big rookie mistake. But I just grabbed this blue fine point Sharpie and just filled in all those scratches. Right here, when it's real up close, it kind of looks like ass. But when you zoom out, it blends in pretty well, I think. It's one of those things where you don't really see it unless you're like looking for it. So I'm pretty satisfied with this faux binding installation. Now all that's left to do is clean this thing up, get her some new strings. I may try out these new pure nickel string joist strings I bought the other day. But yeah, let's clean this thing up, get all the dust off, see if I can buff any of these little scratches out, get her all cleaned up. Oh man, I hate that. I love how this thing looks without the pick guard, but unfortunately my pick guard took a little piece of the top there with it. So I think I will put the pick guard back on, at least for now. But yeah, we'll get the fretboard and the surface of the guitar all cleaned up. The headstock definitely needs a good dusting, and this thing could use a new set of strings. So let's go do all that and then play this thing. I just want you guys to know this definitely has not turned into a multi-day project. I am not on day 3 of wearing the exact same outfit just for continuity's sake. Also, I put those string joist strings on and whoo, they definitely hit harder than my stepdad. I'll say that much. Like, you know how all new strings have that like pop and you can like hear and feel how new they sound? Well, string joist strings have that, but like cranked to 11. It makes me just kind of want to play my favorite riffs for the rest of this video, which I very well might do. Without further ado, let's start recording. Yeah, even without the more necessary modifications, like putting on a new nut or getting this thing new tuners, just cleaning this thing and putting new strings on it made this thing feel like a billion times better. The only problem now is just that open E still buzzes. But you know, we'll get that fixed, hopefully sooner than later. Ah, those are my balls! Come on. Come on. Hop on. Run. Calm down. It's okay. I think you're alright, dude. It was one little thunder. The earth farted for a little bit, and now you're having a panic attack. Everyone leave a like to soothe Ron's terrified butt. Just stop shaking. Just stop shaking. Just stop shaking. Oh yeah, a couple weeks ago, the Pantera tribute band came here, and it was really cool getting to see Zakk Wylde play for the first time because he was like my first guitar hero. But it also inspired me to try and make my own Dimebag-esque tone. I don't know how close I got. Kind of just took the Rammstein preset and cranked the highs. But let me know what you guys think. Alright my friends, I think that is going to conclude the playing demo. Overall, I had quite a bit of fun doing this little project. I've been thinking about doing it for quite some time now. Over the course of the 9 years I've had this guitar, I've thought about doing it here and there. And really this time it just took me a little bit of inspiration watching other people do this to their studio to finally convince me to try it on mine. And I'm pretty happy that I did it. I really like the way it turned out. Like I said, it's not perfect by any means, but I think I did a decently passable job. At least I hope I did. But I really like the way it looks, at least. I love the faux binding look. I've always loved that on like PRSs and stuff. And while this isn't like the craziest flame top on planet Earth, you can still see the figuring on the sides on the faux binding now, which I think is really, really cool. Now we just need to get Blair a new nut, maybe some new tuners, and maybe even some new pickups. We will have to see what the future holds regarding that. But I think for today we're going to wrap up this video. Real quick, I want to give a huge shout out to Cosmic Steez, Yana Kaminsky, A Horse Running, Jet, Solar Flare, and Jan Chocolate. Those are the current channel members, and their support really does mean a lot. If you want to join these guys, get a shout out in my longer form videos, get access to exclusive members only videos like the deleted playing clips I didn't use in this video, and just help support the channel in a bigger way, then you can go down there, click that join button. Tiers start as low as $3. But if you don't want to join a membership and don't care about all those perks, I get it. If you still want to support the channel in that way as like a one-time thing, there is that super thanks button down there. It's like a little tip jar. But anywhooser, thank you guys so much for watching, especially if you made it this far. I really hope you enjoyed. Once again, if you did enjoy, let me know and help the engagement on this video by leaving a like, leave a comment, give me your thoughts and opinions, maybe share the video around, subscribe if you haven't already. We are on the road to 17,000 subs. You can follow me on Instagram and on Threads at DenDenBMX, but I think I'm done being a tool. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.